that empowers prayer is the realization of how deeply rooted our material conditioning is. And when you first become a devotee, a lot of bad habits go away, and there's a lot of progress. And then so you start calculating, at this rate, I should be Christian, I should be a pure devotee in 3 years. But when that initial layer of anarthas is removed, the grosser anarthas, then you begin to realize how deeply rooted are other anarthas. Have you noticed that? And it's scary how deeply rooted they are. And it can make one question, can I ever become purified? Because they're so deeply rooted. And it is that realization of how deeply rooted our conditioning is that empowers our prayer, because we feel helpless and we feel like, I want to be Krishna conscious and I want to do this, and I know it's my constitutional position, but I also realize how deeply conditioned I am and how much I need Krishna. So that's the idea. That's where the power to pray comes from. It comes from that realization of, you will experience, if you haven't, you will experience that often you believe you've purified or transcended a desire, only to find out that the desire is still there. It's, you got rid of some aspect of it, but you didn't necessarily get to the root of it. And so that's where this real strength when we're praying comes from, because we feel like this is not something I can do on my own. It's not possible. This is like, it's too hard. So, Jai Radhe, can you put up the next quote? So we've been talking about praying for others, and I'm not sure where this is from. We can pray that others have good sense. The sons of Brahma prayed for their father to understand what the right thing to do, understand what the right thing to do. I should understand the right thing to do when he was overcome by lust. They prayed for the mercy of the Lord, because it is only by the grace of the Lord that one can be protected. They prayed that Lord Brahma would have Krishna's mercy so that he could rectify his mistake. Because they go to the temple or church asking God something, because they are accepting that there is God who can satisfy our needs, therefore they are Sukritina. Sukritina means pure. It looks like those are two different quotes. That shouldn't be together. Anyway, we'll take the first paragraph. The story is that by divine arrangement or something inconceivable, Lord Brahma was lusting after his daughter. Sometimes when devotees would ask Prabhupada, how is this, that Lord Brahma is such an exalted person, could be lusting after his daughter, and Prabhupada said it's an example that we can think that, yes, we are what to speak of us. If Lord Brahma can lust, what to speak of us? So yeah, that's the idea. So so what happened was, the sons of Lord Brahma were amazed, and sometimes, maybe you have this experience sometimes, you might have a friend who's otherwise very intelligent, but they're making a foolish decision. Doesn't make any sense. It's out of character. And then the friends will go to them and try to stop them and say, this is a mistake. Don't do this. So the sons of Brahma were doing that with him. And it's interesting. Generally, there's great respect for the father, and especially in traditional cultures. So generally, you wouldn't expect that the sons would be correcting the father. But this is it's an example of something that sometimes has to be done. There are cases in the history of Gaudiya Vaishnavism where leaders, superiors, gurus have committed some grievous mistake and have become enamored by Maya. And the disciples or the dependents approach that person and beg them to come to their senses. So in this purport, Prabhupada's saying they were praying that Krishna would have mercy on them, mercy on Brahma. So they were praying for Brahma. So then sometimes Prabhupada would ask his disciples to pray for him, which is, of course, awkward for us, but sometimes he would say that, pray for me, in his humility. So generally, the guru prays for the disciple. Mercy comes from the higher devotees down, but in some cases, sometimes the disciple will pray for the superior, for their health, for their well-being, for the success of their preaching. And in this case, in rare cases, when that superior has difficulty, they will pray to Krishna that this person will come to their senses. So they were praying that Brahma would come to his senses. And it's interesting. Human nature is such that sometimes if someone has done something wrong, they would be more inclined to listen to their followers than their peers. So their god brothers may say something, it may be more difficult for them to hear their god brothers, but when their dependent says something, it has a different effect. We are depending on you to be the acharya, so please act properly. That may have more of an effect than when the god brothers are saying, or the god sisters, or the peers are saying, you're not acting properly, you should change your behavior. Maybe he'll think they're envious, they don't know what they're talking about. So at least these are the two examples in Shastra that I know of where it's recommended that the dependents, the disciples, the sons, speak to their father or guru when the father or guru was temporarily illusioned. But I think the extremely important point, as I mentioned, is what Prabhupada said, that, whoa, if Lord Brahma can be illusioned, then don't ever think you're safe. And that goes back to my point about being vulnerable. We're vulnerable because of our weakness. And we should never think, I am powerful, I can conquer Maya. The only way that we can think, I am powerful, I can conquer Maya, is if I'm holding on to Guru's hand, I'm holding on to Krishna's hand. So if I'm holding on to their hand, I can say, yes, I have the holy name. Therefore, I can be victorious. We can think that way. But we don't think we can be victorious on our own strength. We always think, look at Brahma. And so there's so many examples of people greater than ourselves who gave in to anger or greed or lust. So what to speak of us? So this puts us in a very dependent position, and that is good. We should feel always dependent. Krishna, I'm dependent on you for my strength. We should never think, it is my strength, I'm doing this. That is pride. And if you think it is my strength, Krishna will say, okay, so do it yourself. And he'll take away the strength he was giving to you, which you identified it as your strength. He'll take that away. And then you'll be left with your strength, which is not enough strength to conquer Maya. So yes, we're trying, we're working, we're getting up, we're chanting, we're doing all these things. So it seems like we are doing it. But what we're doing is we're doing those things which attract the mercy of Krishna, of Guru, of the holy name. And that's why we're strong. That's where our strength is coming. So we always have to understand that. And if we understand that clearly, then when we pray, we'll be in perfect consciousness that Krishna, I totally depend on you to help me because on my own I can't. So the second point, I think there's a context to that second point, but it doesn't really relate to us. Basically, Prabhupada's saying, people go to church, they ask something from God, please give us this or that. It means they're pious. But in Vaishnavism, this is not recommended. It's frowned upon that we should. It's actually very clearly frowned upon that we should not ask God for anything material because we're trying to develop pure devotional service. People who aren't yet Krishna conscious, they may ask, they may go to God. And so because they're pious, they'll go to God. Nowadays, people are becoming impious. So less and less, more and more people are becoming disinterested in religion. Okay, so you want to post the next quote? I'm assuming these are, yeah. We are at the end of our quotes, and this morning I did some more research because I've given a class on prayer, and there was a lot more there that we're going to discuss. So we're going to continue churning the ocean of prayer. Pray for others' liberation. Prahlad only prayed for his father's liberation. He didn't pray for anything personal. He never cursed those who tried to kill him. So Prahlad is a pure devotee. And what's interesting is that we're looking at these qualities of Prahlad and we're thinking, he's amazing. Krishna asked him, what do you want? He never asked for anything. You know, he did ask for something. He asked that he would never ask for material benediction. Take whatever you want. I don't want anything. No, please take something. Okay. I won't. I will pray that I will never ask you for anything for myself. And then, as you know, he prayed for his father. So those are the two things that are being described here. And Prahlad Maharaj is setting the example of a pure devotee, and this example is very clear. Pure devotees only ask for pure devotional service. They don't ask for sense gratification. So when we say asking something for myself, what do we mean? Well, let's be clear. We mean we're praying for something that will give me pleasure independent of its connection to Krishna. So like Krishna, I'll see you on Sunday. I'll see you next Sunday, but now this Sunday, I'm praying that you give me A, B, and C because that will make me happy, which translates into that will give me pleasure, material pleasure. I want these things. It's antithetical, completely antithetical to pure bhakti. So devotee never prays that way, ever, never. It's just, we're trying to develop love of Krishna. That's not love. So we would never pray for anything for our sense gratification. We would only pray okay, you might say, but can't I pray for anything? Any sense gratification? Yeah, okay, you can pray for something to eat. That's not really sense gratification. You can pray for a house if you live under a tree. You can pray for chapati if you have only water. Because you need those things, but that's not really sense gratification. But so a devotee will never pray, Krishna, I see this beautiful woman over there. She's more beautiful than the goddess of fortune. I want her. I'm going to church. I'm going to temple to pray. We would never do that. Unless you say, oh, this woman, she's a great devotee. I think if I were married to her, that would help my bhakti. You might pray that way. You might not. But at least if you did pray, you wouldn't be praying for sense gratification. You'd be praying. But if this, Krishna, if you think this helps my bhakti, I just want to let you know, I like her. Anyway, that could be tinged with all kinds of wrong thinking and so forth. But you understand what I'm saying. Krishna, in other words, you're praying and Krishna He's somewhere in the picture. So what Prabhupada's describing here is they're praying and Krishna's not in the picture. The only part of the picture he's in is as the person you're praying to who's going to give you what you want. But after that, he's not in the picture. So when we pray to Krishna and say, is it right to pray to Krishna for this or that? As long as he's in the picture and he's the object of satisfaction of what you're praying for, yeah, then it's within the realm of pure bhakti. Some is more pure, some is less pure. I think that's clear, isn't it? It's just, Krishna, as long as Krishna is in the picture, as long as it can be used for Krishna, as long as it's necessary for Krishna. Yeah. A couple days ago, I listened to Prabhupada's class in which he said, when you go to a church and pray for your daily bread, this is not love of God, this is love of bread. Yes, beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Well, you could say anything you pray for is not love of God, it's love of that thing you prayed for. So we can expand that. It's a really nice point. Okay, so let's do the next quote. Of course, it's common when you get what you pray for that you say, I love God. And you love God because he gave you what you prayed for. And so our definition of love, our conception of love is very, very off the mark. If God gives you something and you call that love of God, well, God loves you, but you don't love him. But you think you love him. Well, what if he doesn't give you those things? Do you not love him? And if he doesn't give you those things, does that mean he doesn't love you? Well, for some people, the answer is yeah, that's how they think. Okay. So this is from the 8th canto, 3rd chapter, first verse. This is about Gajendra, because Gajendra, he offered a lot of prayers to Krishna because he was in distress, fighting with a crocodile. He was in distress. So this is interesting. Sri Sukadev Goswami continued, thereafter, the king of the elephants, Gajendra, fixed his mind and his heart with perfect intelligence and chanted a mantra which he had learned in his previous birth as Indradumna and which he remembered by the grace of Krishna. So first thing I want to point out, maybe this perked your imagination. He fixed his mind and his heart. Wow, what does that mean? He fixed his mind and his heart. Well, Prabhupada's saying, or the context of this is that he's praying. So where do you pray from? You fix your mind and your heart. Connotation is he had a desire, and then that desire in his mind, he understood what he needed, and it went to his heart from which he was praying. Fixed. So this is how you pray. You have some need, but it has to come from the heart. So that's why I chose this verse. But the purport is interesting. It describes some other points, which are educational. Such remembrance is described in Bhagavad Gita. Tatratam buddhi samyogam labhate paurva dekam itatecha tata bhuya samsido kurunandana orva bhyasena tenaiva priyateya vashopisa. In these verses, it is assured that even if a person engaged in devotional service falls down, he is not degraded, but is placed in a position in which he will, in due course of time, remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As explained here, Gajendra was formerly King Indradumna, and somehow or other, in his next life, he became king of the elephants. Now Gajendra was in danger, and although he was in a body other than that of a human being, he remembered the stotram. he had chanted in his previous life. Yatate cha tato bhuya samsiddho kurunandana. To enable one to achieve perfection, Krishna gives one the chance to remember him again. This is proved here. For although the king of the elephants, Gajendra, was put in danger, this was a chance for him to remember his previous devotional activities so that he could immediately be rescued by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How could an elephant chant a mantra? But he remembered from his past life. So the purport of this, one of the purports of this is, devotees, learn some prayers. You might need them in your next life. Learn some prayers, yeah. Chintamani pakarishad mansukalpa vriksha. You can play that every day. So that if you don't go back to Godhead in your next life, you'll be born chanting the Brahma Samhita. Yeah. Prabhupada mentions that in another purport, that you should learn prayers like Chintamani. It is imperative, therefore, that all the devotees in Krishna consciousness practice chanting some mantra. Oh, it's right here. Certainly, one should chant the Hare Krishna mantra, which is the Maha mantra or great mantra, and also one should practice chanting Chintamani Pakarashad Mansukalpa Vriksha. Nishing, or the Nishringa Shtotra, Ito Nishingha Purato Nishingho Jato Jato Jami Tato Nishingha. Every devotee should practice in order to chant some mantra perfectly, so that even though he may be imperfect in spiritual consciousness in this life, in his next life he will not forget Krishna consciousness, even if he becomes an animal. Wow. How could a devotee become an animal in his next life? Well, just in case. It's unlikely that you'll become an animal in your next life, but just in case, learn your shlokas. Of course, a devotee should try to perfect his Krishna consciousness in this life, for simply by understanding Krishna and his instructions after giving up this body, one can return home back to Godhead. Even if there is some fall down, practice of Krishna consciousness never goes in vain. For example, Ajamil, and it's not Ajamil, it's Ajamil. Okay? Everybody say Ajamil. Never say Ajamil again. It's Ajamil. Of course, now every time you hear another devotee say Ajamil, you're going to go, Prabhu, it's Ajamil, which you can't say if that's your guru who says it or some senior. But anyway, it's Ajamil, or actually Ajamila, to be perfect. Okay. Jamila, for example, Jamila in his boyhood practiced chanting the name of Narayana under the direction of his father. But later in his youth, he fell down and became a drunkard, woman hunter, rogue, and thief. Nonetheless, because of chanting the name of Narayana for the purpose of calling his son, whom he had named Narayana, he became advanced, even though he was involved in sinful activities. Therefore, we should not forget the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra under any circumstances. It will help us in the greatest danger, as we find in the life of Gajendra. So I think something that's obvious, but it's worth pointing out because obvious things tend not to be obvious. The holy name is a prayer, and in course of discussion about prayer, we kind of understand, we're learning to understand the mood of the prayer, the dependence, the help that's needed when we pray. And so I think this is all good because we can apply everything we're learning to the chanting of the holy name because it's a prayer. So I should have stated that months ago when we started this discussion. Maybe it was obvious. Maybe that's why I didn't state it, but maybe it wasn't. But as you all know, we've spoken much about chanting not being ritualistic, chanting being a prayer. So everything here we're learning about praying, just apply that to your chanting. It's all applicable. And especially to those devotees who've been trained to just chant more in a mechanical way, and maybe they don't understand that it shouldn't be done any other way. You can explain this to them, that chanting is a prayer. And so if you study Prabhupada's books about prayer, you will see what is the mood of prayer. And Gajendra is a good example because he was completely dependent because he couldn't get free from the crocodile. So what could he do? He prayed. And we cannot get free from the crocodile of birth and death. So what do? We pray, right? It's obvious, common sense, right? But many devotees, they kind of miss this point and they focus more on the process of chanting and forget that it's a prayer. Okay, so we can go to the next verse. So this is verse 17. Gajendra prayed, since an animal such as I surrendered unto you, who are supremely liberated, certainly you will release me from this dangerous position. Indeed, being extremely merciful, you incessantly try to deliver me. Is there a purport there to that one, Jairati? I believe there should be. There is a purport. Only Krishna can deliver us from this material existence. Indeed, he is always trying to deliver us. He is within our hearts and is not at all inattentive. His only aim is to deliver us from material life. I'm going to read it on my computer. I can read straight. It is not that he becomes attentive to us only when we offer prayers to him. Even before we offer prayers, he incessantly tries to deliver us. He's never lazy in regard to our deliverance. It is the causeless mercy of the Supreme Lord that he always tries to bring us back home, back to Godhead. God is liberated, and he tries to make us liberated. But although he is constantly trying, we refuse to accept his instructions. Nonetheless, he has not become angry. Therefore, he is described here as Buddhi Kurunaya, unlimitedly merciful in delivering us from this miserable material condition of life and taking us back home, back to Godhead. So this is very reassuring and comforting, right? But it's like Prabhupada saying, sometimes we become inattentive, we forget Krishna, we lose touch with the depth of our need to be Krishna conscious and become a little bit confused or enamored by the material world. It happens. But Krishna doesn't forget our need. And he never stops. We sometimes stop, but he doesn't. Yeah. So another point to meditate on is, and we know this, Krishna wants us to go back to Godhead. And we know that he wants us more than we want to go, which is really embarrassing. So just think about this for a moment. God wants you more than you want him. That's backwards, isn't it? It should be the other way. Like, Krishna, I want you. And Krishna's like, who are you? Why would I want to hang out with you? You're just like a conditioned soul who ran away from me and is trying to imitate me. Why would I want to have anything to do with you? That makes sense, doesn't it? No, 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 but I want to apologize and please accept me. And I'm suffering in this world and I want to go back to you. Well, I don't know, We're doing fine without you here. You've been gone a long time and nobody really misses you. So I don't know. I don't, like what's in it for me? Like, what am I going to get? I have enough friends. I don't need any more, and then if you come, we have to make space for you, build a house for you. I don't know. It sounds like too much trouble. That's the logical way of thinking, isn't it? Yes. So the whole thing's backwards. That Krishna, like, he's coming down, running after, chasing after us, especially Mahaprabhu. He's chasing after us. We should be chasing after him, but we're not. We're chasing after Maya. And Krishna, yeah, we're running after Maya and Krishna's running after us. It should be like, we should be running after Krishna. And Krishna should be saying, don't bother me, I don't need you. But Krishna's running after us. So the irony, the paradox, and the sad part of it is that we often don't care that much. We're too busy down here doing other more important things, right? You have a lot of important things to do today? Yes, you got lots of important things. Are some of those things more important than thinking of Krishna? Yeah, admit it. I mean, theoretically, no. On paper, no. But in reality, do we give them priority? Yeah, yeah. Don't you think that's weird? That's an example of how conditioned we are. So, yeah. Mm. So Prabhupada makes the point, but although he is constantly trying, we refuse to accept his instructions. Nonetheless, he's not become angry. Therefore, he is described as Bhuri Karunaya, unlimitedly merciful in delivering us from this miserable material condition of life. Yeah. Um, so I said this was comforting, which means Krishna will never give up on us. And no matter how much we give up on Krishna, he won't give up on us in the sense that he'll always accept us when we turn towards him. And I think it's really powerful to just meditate all the time, 25 hours a day, that Krishna wants us. Krishna wants us to go back to Godhead, and he's willing to help. And not only is he willing to help, he is helping constantly. And you might say, well, doesn't always feel like he's helping. That's our fault. He's broadcasting all the messages that we need. And if you feel like, well, I'm not getting those messages. Well, that's not his fault. He's broadcasting them, but your receiver is weak. But anytime you need help, Krishna's always, the radio station's always there. You can tune into it. So just get a strong enough receiver and tune into it. So that's what's comforting. No matter how much Maya we're in, we can always tune in to Krishna. Yes? There's a chapter in my book, Tune Into Krishna, about this, how we tune in and we tune out. And so the message is always there, but sometimes we get it more strongly. And it's not that Krishna is speaking it more strongly, it's just that we're receiving it more strongly. So David is asking a question. I pray to Krishna for children. Is that sense gratification? Well, I will answer this question in a very general way. Let's rephrase the question. I pray to Krishna for blank: children, house, car, wife, better job, better health, a new guitar, a new surfboard. No, guitar you could use in kirtan. Surfboard, I'm not sure. the question is, Michael and all of you, why'd you pray for it? Because that's the answer is in the why. The answer is not in the object, it's in the why. Why did you pray for it? Well, of course, I prayed Krishna to send me some good marijuana. Okay, the answer is not only the why, but in the object. But generally, for what devotees are praying for, the answer is going to be in the why. Like, why are you praying for this? Why do you want children? Like, what are you going to do with these children? Turn them into little Hiranyakashipus or little Prahlads? So, Prabhupada always said, yeah, you could have children. Bhaktisiddhanta said, I'm prepared to have 100 children if I can make them all pure devotees. So, why do you want children? So I can enjoy I always wanted kids so I can enjoy them. No, but as a parent, it's like, why do I want disciples? Because I enjoy having disciples. Wouldn't you think that was crazy if I told you, why'd you become a guru? Well, I enjoy having disciples. They cook for me. They do things for me. Think, oh, something is wrong here, right? Why, why do you want to have disciples? So I can help them become Krishna conscious. Oh, yes, that's what I thought. That's why you have disciples. Why do I want to have children disciples? So I can help them go back to Godhead. So, um, there's a proper reason to do something and an improper reason, and that proper or improper reason determines if that action is Krishna conscious, because externally it's going to look the same. You're raising kids, I'm raising kids, she's raising kids. Well, why are we doing it? You're working, I'm working. You're making money, I'm making money. I'm spending money, you're spending money. I'm going here, you're going here. So why are you doing all that? That determines. Mm. Shalini says, the story of Gajendra always gives us hope and encouragement. In one version of the story, I heard that Narayan was so eager to descend and help Gajendra that he literally grabbed Garuda on his back because he felt Garuda was not moving. He literally grabbed Garuda because he felt Garuda wasn't moving quickly enough. Of course, Gajendra had the qualification. Yeah, that's beautiful. I can't, it's probably in some Purana, it teaches that. Uh, um, um, how fast Krishna will come to help you will depend on your qualification for that help and your desire for that help. I think all of us have experienced that. Krishna is reciprocating with the intensity of our desire. Krishna is reciprocating with our need. And Krishna is reciprocating with our qualification. You're praying for Krishna. You're praying to Krishna for something you're not qualified to have, and you're wondering why he's not satisfying your desire. Do you ever have that one? That wonder no longer. Maybe you don't want it, or maybe you're not qualified for it. Or maybe he is satisfying your desire by not giving it to you because your desire is to be Krishna conscious. And if Krishna knows if I give you something, it's not going to help you be Krishna conscious. So he's answering your prayer by not answering it. Because ultimately, the heart of your prayer is to be Krishna conscious, right? So if Krishna is going to give you something that's not good for you, he's answering your prayer by not giving it to you. Could be, anyway, something to bring into the equation. Um, mm. So I think we've already spoken about this. We should be qualified for what we're praying for, or praying for the qualification to pray what we're not qualified to pray for. Does that make sense? Like, I would like to pray for this, but I know I'm not qualified. So at least let me pray to Krishna for the qualification that I can pray for this. Yes. We have Para Ananda has a question. Can you kindly share how you realize that Krishna constantly helps you in your private life? Um, the same way you got your you got your new car. Kind of feel how Parananda um, got in an accident. He didn't have enough money to buy a good new car, and eventually, a friend of theirs bought a car for them. So my experience is that in my most helpless moments is when Krishna has shown up, like in the most obvious ways. Like, sometimes something happens and we think, oh, Krishna's mercy. But, it could have just been a freak of material nature that, the $100 bill blew over from the neighbor's yard into your yard. There was a windstorm or something. Blew right out of, he had money on his windowsill. It could have been an accident. But in our most, when we're really in difficulty and we get help, it's obvious that Krishna did it. So, um, uh, one of the ways that it's the same answer, but from a different perspective. As a young member of the Hare Krishna movement, you are called upon to do many things because there's so few of us. There were so few of us. Or if you're in a small temple today, you will be called to do things that maybe you're not so good at, and you'll be called to do things, a lot of things you've never done before. So in the early days of the movement, we were given huge responsibilities, and uh, in many cases, we had no experience, no qualification to do these things. So very dependent on Krishna. And in that dependency, we saw how Krishna would guide us, give us strength, intelligence, send people to help us. So that builds faith. That's, yeah. I was listening to a class today, and the devotee was talking about the early days when he was with Prabhupada and how we did all kinds of things that we weren't really qualified to do, and how exciting it was, and how daring and bold we were and courageous. And so he's talking about it with fond memories. And I was thinking, so if you want fond memories, go do something courageous and bold. Because if you don't do anything courageous and bold and daring and going beyond your comfort zone, you may not have any fond memories. The only memories you may have are just, ordinary, mundane things. So as he was telling these stories of all these amazing things that happened in his early years, I thought, well, if you want to have amazing stories, guess how you get them? Do something amazing. Yeah, of course, right? Isn't that how you get amazing memories? Is you do something amazing, right? So if you want to, go a little bit outside your comfort zone. I mean, he was describing how the devotees in London were so bold that they met George Harrison and the Beatles, and they did so many bold things, which were like pretty much impossible. It's seemingly impossible. But now they have all these memories of these impossible things they did. And so I thought that was a valuable realization I could share with all of you. You want to have some amazing memories, go do something amazing. You know, take a chance. Try for something bigger and better and badder, and badder is English. Not yet. Bad means good. You understand the context, it means good. Do something bigger, better, and badder. Especially in California, right, Tanya? Bad means good. Oh, that was bad. That means it's good. Well, that's how women talk also. They talk in opposites. You don't know what they're saying. Um, anyway, it's a simple point. If you want some exciting memories in your life, you should do something exciting, like something, go for something, you know, go meet the equivalent of the Beatles now, or whatever. Okay, so Anindra says, once I started, Casey, it seems hell broke out. Materially, I am defeated in every front. Is it my karma or Krishna's special mercy? I'm not sure. Has it helped you in your Krishna consciousness? If it has, it's Krishna's mercy. If it hasn't, yeah, it may be your karma. Or it may be the way you're thinking maybe you started thinking in a way that kind of attracted these things. I can't say. That's something for you to think. Um, but no, the prayer of a devotee is Krishna, do whatever you have to do to help me become detached. Or that's the prayer of a pure devotee. It's not the prayer of every devotee because that's kind of scary. Krishna, do what you have to do so I'll become detached. Krishna takes away all your money, all your family, all your friends. Yeah, now I'm detached. No. We're like, so we might, well, you're not really detached. You just have lost your attachments. Doesn't mean you lost your attachments, doesn't mean you're detached. So, but sometimes the devotee will pray that if anything in the way of my bhakti, take it away. So, I would ask you, did Krishna take away anything? Or is Krishna just testing you, giving you opportunities to become stronger? Uh, so Mayuresh says, Prabhupada said that we should do big things in bhakti. It's like chasing a rhino. If we catch it, people will cheer us. If not, they'll say, oh, anyways, nobody can catch you. What he actually said is, um, Prabhupada was encouraging devotees to do something big, but not be discouraged if they failed. And so that's when he gave that example. He said rhinoceroses are hard to capture, or it's actually the example of killing. Not such a great example, right? Not really PC, killing a rhinoceros. But I guess that's what they do. Maybe rhinoceroses are dangerous. They kill them. I don't know. He said it's very difficult to kill a rhinoceros. So if you try to kill one and you fail, nobody is going to say anything because everybody knows you can't kill it. So if you go to do something, I'm going to go do this huge thing, and everyone's saying, "You'll never do that." I'm like, "Okay, whatever." And you try it and you don't do it, and it's like, "Yeah," and everyone will say, "Of course, nobody can do that." So, but if you do it, everyone will be amazed. Yeah, chasing rhinos with the Swami. That's the title of the book. Okay, so Hare Krishna. We are in Jairada. You can put up the next quote. Mm. Well, we got a few people ahead of you, Jared. Um, Shaina was saying, I was reading a verse in the Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 9, verse saying, Lord Shiva is an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are many incarnations of Krishna. So is chanting the Maha Mantra the only way to reach Krishna and please him, or are there other ways? Um, it's the easiest, most efficient, most powerful. So, it's like saying, here, I've got this pill, it cures cancer. I just saw there's research now that they're going to have a chemotherapy that just kills cancer cells and doesn't kill the healthy cells. So you're like asking me, well, is that chemotherapy better than the others? Are there other kinds of chemotherapies? Yeah, there are other kinds, but this one is better. Um, that sounds kind of, what's the word? Denominational. Um, but it's the Yuga Dharma. So through the Yuga Dharma, you'll get a better result than practicing a process that's not recommended for this age. How to increase your self-confidence to do something big? Don't wait to have self-confidence. Just do it. It's the whole world's going to hell. People are in ignorance. You're going to wait around to save them till you become self-confident. That might be 10 lives from now. Just do it. The confidence will come from doing it. It always works that way. Whatever you're afraid of doing, just do it. And then you realize that was easier than you thought. Right? You all have experience. Yes? There's another answer to your question. It's the question written by your insignificant servant, Nipun. Nipun, there's another answer. It's not self-confidence, it's confidence in Krishna. So it's capital S confidence. Confidence in Krishna, self. That's self-confidence. So I don't I don't know if I can do this, but I'm willing to try. And I'm depending on Krishna to give me intelligence. That's the kind of self-confidence we want. Because a false sense of self-confidence would be kind of confidence from identifying with the body, right? I can do it. I need more self-confidence. I'm building my self-confidence. That could mean you're building your false ego. I'm layering up my false ego. I can do it. I'm going to go. We're going to meet the Beatles. Let's do it. That's not what we want. We want dependence on Krishna. We want confidence that if I'm willing, Krishna will let me do it. Krishna will have, if Krishna thinks I'm a worthy person of his mercy, he'll help me do this, and all I can do is try. That's what you want. Okay? So this is from 10:30 to 20. This is an interesting topic. But the reason I do not immediately reciprocate the affection of living beings, even when they worship me, O gopis, is that I want to intensify their loving devotion. They then become like a poor man who has gained some wealth and then lost it, and who thus becomes so anxious about it that he can think of nothing else. Purport: Lord Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita, Yeya tamam prapadyante tamstadaiva bhajamyaham 4:11. As people approach me, I reciprocate with them accordingly. Yet even if the Lord is approached by someone with devotion, to intensify the devotee's love, the Lord may not immediately reciprocate fully. In fact, the Lord is truly reciprocating. After all, a sincere devotee always prays to the Lord, please help me to love you purely. Therefore, the Lord's so-called neglect is actually the fulfillment of the devotee's prayer. Lord Krishna intensifies our love for him by apparently separating himself from us, and the result is that we achieve what we really wanted and prayed for, intense love for the absolute truth, Krishna. Thus, Lord Krishna's apparent negligence is actually his thoughtful reciprocation and the fulfillment of our deepest and purest desire. So this is evidence of what we were discussing before. Krishna decides how he's going to reciprocate with your prayers. So if you're praying and Krishna's not reciprocating, then it's time for reflection. Am I qualified? Is my desire not strong? Must I wait? What's the reason? It's not that you should stop praying. You can continue praying even though he's not giving it to you. Keep praying. But make sure you're qualified. And what's being said here is sometimes when he doesn't give it, then it increases your desire. And so by not getting it, it actually, your desire is fulfilled, as I was saying before. My personal realization has always been that reciprocation is always coming in proportion to what Krishna thinks we're ready for, what we can utilize. He doesn't want to give it too easily, so he doesn't want to give it to us if we're not qualified. Or there's something going on within our consciousness that's not in the right place. And so Krishna thinks, if I give this to you, either you won't appreciate it or you'll misuse it. So until your consciousness is in the right place and until you're qualified, I won't give it to you. I don't want to give it to you. You will ruin it, or it will ruin you. So that could be there. But that's something for you, for all of us individually to ponder. Well, I think I need something. I'm praying for it. I'm not getting it. Why? I can't say for each one of you what the answer is. That's for you to conclude. Why? I think sometimes we pray for something, but we're actually afraid of it. So it's like we're praying for something, but maybe we don't really want it, and we're not even conscious of that. Subconsciously, we're thinking we don't want it, but consciously we're thinking we want it. We want it. Have you ever noticed that in yourself or somebody else? Like they're saying one thing, but internally they're actually saying the other thing. Krishna, I want to surrender to you. And internally it's like, no, I don't. I want to surrender to me. Krishna, I want this. No, I don't. No, I don't really want it. Like Krishna knows what we want. He knows what's in the subtle regions of our consciousness. So that's something that we need to explore. A lot of devotees, not a lot, but some devotees write me and say that bad things always happen to them. And I, of course, wonder, is that a karmic reaction or is that some way of thinking that's drawing these things to them? And I think it can be both, or it could be one or the other, or it could be both. I would never minimize in the name of karma the way I'm thinking about something, because the way we think has a huge effect on the way our life goes. The way we feel and the way we believe directly affects our life. So these are things to explore. Why do I feel this way? Does this feeling have any connection with what is going on in my life? Why do I believe this way? Does this belief have any connection with what's going on in my life? Hmm. Anyway, that's it. It's something that you really need to think about personally. Um, or, you know, the common problem, Krishna, please help me do this, and you make no effort whatsoever. Krishna is not helping me. Krishna, help me distribute more books. And you go out on the street and you do exactly the same thing you did yesterday when you didn't distribute any books. So, you know, it's got to be a little more. Krishna, help me. Maybe you should try something different. Maybe you should go to a different place. Maybe a different book. Maybe you're not enthusiastic. So it's we've got to work together with Krishna. Adi Ganga says, every time I experience some kind of spiritual bliss, some material situation comes up to put an end to it. Why such situation happens? Same answer. Um, I can take a guess, Adi Ganga, because some of us feel like we don't deserve happiness. So when happiness comes, we make sure it goes. I'm not saying that's true for you, but it's definitely true for some people. I don't deserve this, so they're awaiting something bad to happen. So Krishna says, okay, let's make something bad happen. So it could be like that. I mean, someone could say, well, Krishna is just showing you that happiness comes and happiness goes. So don't get attached. That, of course, is the philosophical answer. But it could be that you could have something to do with it. Um, I know, because I've read many books on this topic, that when things go well for some people, they feel they don't deserve it. And so they kind of are awaiting, if not desiring, something bad to happen because they feel, well, I deserve something bad. So let's something bad happen. Could be. I don't know. I'm only guessing. But this does happen. Okay. Uh, yeah. Deep is agreeing. Consciously, I want to get detached from some things, but subconsciously, I don't. Okay. This is an interesting topic, right? Because the problem with this deep, and for all of us, is that we're learning everything. We're learning what's right and what's wrong. So when we're learning what's right, then consciously we'll say, yeah, I want to do this because it's right. And I may even commit to it because it's right. But internally, I may not commit to it. Internally, I may be the same. I just think I've committed to it. Right? So, if you want to do something, ideally, in the most holistic way, you do it with body, mind, words, actions, not just body. Like some things we do with our body, but we don't do with our mind, right? Like the example Prabhupada gives of a woman. She's married, but she has a lover. So with her body, she's serving her husband, but with her mind, she's with her lover. So with my body, I'm following the four negative principles, but in my mind, I may not be. I may not have committed. My body's committed, but my mind, my heart may not be committed. I may be thinking about enjoying something that I've externally apparently renounced. So that's the way it works. It works first externally because that's the easiest. I can just stop doing it with my body. More difficult to stop doing it with my heart, isn't it? So complete renunciation is going to mean I'm doing it both with body and with words and with mind and with heart and with consciousness. Right? That's what we want to do. And anytime you suffer, not anytime, but sometimes when you suffer, the suffering is because I'm doing something with my body, but I'm not doing it with my heart. Isn't it? Yes? Like I'm committed to do this, but I'm a hypocrite because inside I'm not doing it. In my mind, I'm doing the opposite, right? So it's something to look at. So at this point that Deep's bringing up in relation to prayer, I'm praying for something. Do I actually want what I'm praying for, or am I just praying because it's politically correct to pray that way? Or it's KC, it's Krishna conscious, PC, KC. It's KC to pray that way. It's the proper thing to do. But do I really want it? So when you learn what the proper thing to do is, stage two is to actually want to do it. Stage one, it's like, okay, I'll do it because this is what I should do. All right, that's good. But stage two is now work on actually wanting to do it. That's the harder part, right? Uh, I've renounced something. All right, that's good. But have you actually renounced it? That's a good question to ask, isn't it? You renounced this? Really? Did you? Yes, Prabhu, I don't have it anymore. Well, you think about it. Well, yeah. Oh, I guess you haven't renounced it. Yajnavalkya says if one is a brahmachari, they should not think about women, they should not talk about, they should not associate, they should not talk, and so forth. So, there are many injunctions of what it means to be a brahmachari that are external. Don't talk, don't mingle, don't joke. But one of them is don't think. And not only don't think about women, don't plan to meet them. So that's internal. So you can be externally a brahmachari and internally not, right? So we need to do both, don't we? That's where we're going. So like we said, we often say, when you're praying for something, I may suggest you should pray for this. But that kind of prayer may not be real for you because you don't feel that way. So you pray to feel that way. I know I should pray for this, so I pray to feel that way. Krishna, I pray for the integrity that my words, actions, mind, heart, everything is the same. Otherwise, we're hypocrites. Okay. Parmananda says, I have a story. One evening I was coming home from Sankirtan, and unfortunately, iPad from the corner of something. I drove into the field. At first, I thought it was already after the car. I don't understand, but it sounds exciting. Something happened. Everything was okay, and I had a hard time leaving because it was rough. I guess you drove off the road or something. A truck suddenly arrived, and two people jumped out and gave me a line and efficiently tied my car and quickly pulled me out. I gave them prasadam. Then I started to meditate and thank Krishna that nothing happened to me. The car and the fact that he sent these people very quickly. It was quite late already. In addition, in the future, there was a call for an avalanche, which is very expensive because it was quite far from my house. For me, this story has increased my faith in Krishna's words that he protects its road. Yeah, especially you're coming on Sankirtan. So, um, uh, yeah, Hare Krishna. Um, Bianca says, as you explain, when we have something good, there is continuous fear that this will get ruined. What should be the mindset in that case? Well, Bianca, let's say you're driving a car. You're driving from Vrindavan to Delhi. No, that's not good. You're driving from Delhi to Vrindavan. And your whole way you're thinking is like, well, what? Maybe I won't get to Delhi. What you're thinking? What if I turn around and go back to Delhi? Like you wouldn't think that way. It doesn't make any sense, does it? Like you're going to Vrindavan. Why would you think, what if I turn around? So in your life, if you're clear about where you're going, why would you think about what if I don't go? Maybe you don't trust yourself, but it's not a normal way of thinking. Although I know we all think this way, but I'm trying to show that it's not normal. If you want to go somewhere, why would you think about not going there? I want to be Krishna conscious, but what if I'm not? Like, why think about what you could say, I want to be Krishna conscious, and what if I become Krishna? Why not say what if I become instead of what if not? Right? That's all material conditioning. It's not that you'll just do that in Krishna consciousness, you'll do that in everything, and you'll bring it into Krishna consciousness. Generally, right? It's not that I learned to be negative because I heard so many negative courses in the classes in the temple. So I was a very positive person. Then I became negative as a devotee. That might be true to some degree, but it's not going to change your whole nature. But if you have that nature, what if, oh no, what if this happens? You're leaving, plenty of time to get to the airport. What if we're late? Well, why would you be late? You're going to be 3 hours early. But what if we are? That's conditioning. And Krishna might say, okay, you always think about being late. Okay, let's create a traffic jam. This truck in front of you is going to fall over and we're going to be blocked for 3 hours because you're thinking about being late. According to many teachers, I can't verify this exactly from our Shastra, but according to many teachers, your life is just a manifestation of what you picture it to be and what you believe. Not only what you picture it, what you believe it to be, what you want it to be, but especially what you believe it and your focus. So that being said, why would you want to focus on something you don't want? It's dangerous. I'm afraid this will never happen. Well, guess what? Don't be afraid anymore. It won't, because that's what you're focused on. This will never happen. That'll never happen. Well, if that's what you say, then I guess that's what's going to happen, which is nothing. That's just the logical side to it, Priyanka. But there's the conditioned side. So you can get the logical side. That's part of the equation, but the conditioned side has to be worked on. Your microphone's muted. You're still muted. I guess your microphone's not working.
Is it better now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you are saying that it is conditioned, so it comes back again and again. Even though the logic helps to understand for now, sometime it would be effective. For some time it would be effective, but again it will come back.
Habit. It's a habit. You have to break the habit. You might need some help breaking it.
Okay.
It's actually a belief. That's what's going on. You have to reprogram the belief. Nothing good ever happens to me. Always, everything good ever happened in my life always becomes bad. Okay, so that forms a belief. It probably happened like once, and that became it happened once or twice, or it wasn't even bad. You just interpreted it as bad, like when you're a kid or something. It's always bad. Maybe karmically it was true. It was always bad. So that becomes the paradigm. So now that's the way my whole life's going to be. That's what I expect. That's what I focus on. That's what I believe. So that's what happens. Generally, the idea is that what you believe, that has to become reality, because your consciousness is trying to validate it in reality. I never get good grades. Oh, you're smart. No, I never get good grades. No, just study hard. No, I never get. You'll go and fail your test just to confirm your belief, because your consciousness wants to create integrity with inside and outside. So you'll go try your best and fail, but you'll cause yourself to fail.
But when we put this positive thought, then it comes with that I develop a pride along with it. When I always say that I can do this, and then the pride comes along.
Yeah, that's because you think you're doing it. You can be proud that you did it, but be proud of Krishna for helping you. Pride comes along. Well, my dear devotees, pride is always there. So the proper way to say it, when I do that, it activates my pride. It's not like pride just dropped out of the sky. No, it just activates my pride. And pride gets activated. You know why it gets activated? Because we want it activated. That's why. We like it. So if you don't like it, it wouldn't get activated. So you have to become attracted to humility more than pride. Right? Yes? Somehow or
Yes.
other, we have to become attracted to humility. Otherwise, we'll be attracted to pride. So then the same situation which triggered your pride could trigger your humility. I tried my best. Well, I feel really humble. I'm humbled by the power Krishna gave me. Right? Could that happen? Yeah, of course. I did this and I was successful. I'm so humbled that Krishna allowed me to do this, as opposed to like, look at me, I'm the man. Hey everybody, I'm over here. You can clap now. Look what I did. Where's that? What's that about? Right. So, you know, become attracted to humility. It'll change things. Um, so John says, please continue to pray for my ministry here in Kenya. We really pass through many challenges like lack of food, wow, shelter and clothing for the orphans. Children I do care for. Wow. What can we do to help you, John? Nadia says self-fulfilling prophecy. Sorry, describing this story using phone translator. So we're imagining like you drove off a cliff and the car spun over 100 times, and there was an avalanche 3 seconds after they pulled the car out, and you didn't know where you were, and you were half unconscious, and you were in the middle of nowhere, and then all of a sudden Garuda came and pulled you out. That's kind of way we interpreted your story. So don't tell us what really happened, because this the way we imagine it is more exciting. But we know something happened exciting, right? Yes? Hare Krishna. Um, yeah. Okay. So let's talk a little bit more about what Priyanka's saying, that it's always important to reflect on how our consciousness, our thinking, our desires are affecting our lives, affecting other people, affecting outcomes, and so forth. Because generally, when people's lives improve, things first improve internally before they improve externally in the way they're thinking, in the way they're dealing with other people, in the way they're thinking about themselves, the way they're thinking about possibilities. Like it all changes from I'm like this and it's always going to be this way. I could never do that. Well, etc. It changes just like, let's do this. Let's have a vision and an inspiration. Yeah. So Gloria Priya, who's a psychologist, says, my patients with chronic anxiety and depression think that bad things are going to happen to them and that they don't deserve anything better. So y'all want to do an experiment? Y'all, Nadi money. That's how they say you all in the southern part of. You'd have a really hard time if you went to the south. You wouldn't even understand them. Y'all want to do something? Y'all want to do something? That's how they talk. Can you understand that? No. Y'all want to do something different? Yeah. That's how they talk. Yeah. So let's do an experiment. Instead of thinking as Priya is saying, that bad things are going to happen, why don't you think good things are going to happen? You all want to do an experiment? Just, we're going to do this program, or I'm going to achieve this level of Krishna consciousness, or whatever. Make an experiment, and we'll see you on Wednesday, and we'll see what happens, how amazing your life has become in the last 2 days. This happened, that happened, I met this, I met that. All right, it may take more than 2 days, but you have goals. Envision your goals, start to see them, start to feel as if the goals are happening. See it in the present tense. And some of you are thinking, I tried that, it doesn't work. Yeah, okay. So your life will stay as bad or the same, or however it is. It's just going to stay that way. But this is just how the world works. You end up going where you see, where you want to go to today. We want to go to Vrindavan. Okay. So I go to Vrindavan. So life is like that. You go where you envision. California accent. Yeah. Well, that's why you can understand me. It's not really an accent. California is like without an accent, actually. It's the radio and newscaster accent. So here's a good question from Parananda. How can we have healthy pride? Be proud for trying. Be proud that you tried something and depended on Krishna, and that Krishna helped you. You can be proud of yourself in that way. That's not false ego. That will inspire you. You can be proud of Krishna. You can be proud of Prabhupada, proud of your guru. You got up early this morning and chanted your rounds. You can be proud of yourself for doing that. But it's not the pride where you think you're better. That's a different pride, right? So that's the pride we're afraid of. The pride where you think you're better than others. That's what we want to avoid. But well, I'm proud of myself. I went out today. I forced myself. I pushed myself. I did this seva. I got up early. I worked hard. I'm proud of myself. I feel good about myself. I'm proud. But it doesn't make me feel that I'm better. It doesn't inflate my false ego. IRS says, a little plug for my book, if you haven't read it. Is that the volume 1 or 2? The chapter How Self-Belief Affects Us in Living the Wisdom of Bhakti is really helpful. It helped me become aware of many emotions and habits I didn't know I had. If you ever get triggered, then just ask yourself, what belief what belief do I have right now? What is this saying to me? Because I got upset about this. Maybe there's some belief there that's causing it. It's good to know. So Nadia Mani is meditating on California now. So she'll end up in California because that's what she's meditating. Nadia Mani is seeing herself as if in the present she's in California. I'm in California now. I can see it. I can feel it. I can taste it. I can touch it. I'm walking on the beach. The water's going on my ankles. It's blue. I'm going to the LA Rath Yatra. It's going to be amazing. Yeah. So then she'll end up there. Somehow or other, right? Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to leave you all because I want to continue working on the guided meditations from the workshop. And it's taking a long time.